The Radio Wammo Breakfast.
Kiwi.
I had planned a session of pleasure for you, but you have chosen to receive a very different scenario.
What you're hearing there is the trailer to the film called Wound, screening at the New Zealand International Film Festival. It has had a little bit of controversy over the past few weeks. I think there were some kind of family outfits apparently not too happy about some of the subject matter in this film. But to talk with me about it and really kind of explain what's going on, who's in it as well, and some of the music behind it, it is David Blyth, cult filmmaker, joining me from his home in Whangaparoa today. Hello to you, David.
Good morning, Wammo, from the Hibiscus Coast.
Yes, the Hibiscus Coast, lovely. And to tell you what, I was a little bit worried about talking to you, because I thought, a film like this, there's probably a very dark character behind the film, but having spoken to you over the past few minutes off air, you're anything but.
That's right. You don't actually have to be dark all the time. It's just, as a creative, artistic person, I've decided to make an entertainment that deals with issues in this country that don't necessarily always get used in filmmaking.
And when you say issues, what are you getting at with this film?
Well, it's a young woman alone fighting her demons. It's a woman who is marginalized by society. A lot of my films over the last 30 years have dealt with marginal, disenfranchised women.
And I mean, are these people that you knew, that you actually know? Are they people in your life?
Well, I guess part of the story is my own story, but because I've been through some frustrating years in terms of trying to make films in this country. It's a very difficult situation because we only really have 4 million people population, so there's not a lot of money really per head of population to keep a major cinema industry going. Because
you kind of have a cult following around the world, don't you?
Well, yes, over the years I've made a number of films, Angel Mine, Death Warmed Up. I also worked on the original 5 episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it's funny how everyone knows that show, and it's even produced here in New Zealand now.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, we do have this great film industry that has been built up over the past sort of 20 years or so. But from what I can gather from what you were saying about New Zealand being so small, is that that you've been able to carve out niches around the world, but because there's more population around the world, those niches are of course a whole lot bigger.
Absolutely, and of course overseas people don't have the same attitude to you because they haven't had to look at you over the last 30 years as you keep trying to make films. So you get a whole different perspective for your films when they're screened in other countries. And in fact, I fly out tomorrow to the Montreal Fantasia Film Festival where it's getting its world premiere.
Wow. Tell us about this festival and who else is going to be there.
Well, it's set in Montreal, and the main headlining director is Ken Russell, who we all know did films like Altered States, The Devils, Listomania, Woman in Love, an incredible English director.
Great.
Also, I'm going to be going to a special screening of Metropolis.
Oh, wow.
Because recently they found an extra 20 minutes of Metropolis, I think it was in Argentina, and there'll be a full orchestra at the Montreal Opera House or something like that with that original science fiction film.
Isn't it amazing that for some of these films that footage can be lost? I mean, is there anything that's left on the cutting room floor of your previous films that could be discovered in the future?
Well, yes. Interestingly enough, the very first New Zealand horror film, Death Warmed Up, which was pre-Peter Jackson, I might add, my only claim to fame against Peter.
Yeah.
The original negative of the film was burnt by mistake. So you're actually in a worldwide search for the original, for an Interneg, a 35 Interneg that is floating around somewhere in a vault in America.
Yeah.
But currently we do not have any original materials for that film. So in fact, when it was released recently on DVD, we actually had to go back to an original VHS tape to find some of the cut sequences, because the film was seriously cut all around the world.
Yeah. Is that something that you're expecting to happen to your latest film, Wound? I mean,
No. We've moved on to the digital world now, the digital revolution. This film was shot on HD, and I'm very happy with the whole process. You know, I'm one of those dinosaurs that always thought I'd be working with celluloid and film, but I've made the transition to digital, and it's been seamless. I think it's a bit like the way that the internet and film and thought has been so seamless, and it's so expansive. In fact, in my film, Wound, we have security camera sequences and webcam sequences, because I believe that all our lives are now going to be documented. Everywhere you go is going to be documented with cameras.
just like the show, I suppose.
Just exactly like the show. And I must say, Wammo, I love your show.
Thanks.
I'm a fan.
Thanks.
Kiwi.
Thanks very much for saying that, David. What else can people expect from the film Wound? Who's in it?
Well, we've got the film stars Kate O'Rourke in a really fantastic performance from her. We've also got Ian Mune, the senior actor, writer, director of the New Zealand film industry. He plays Dr. Nelson, the psychiatrist. I needed someone with real gravitas to play that role, because I think there's a little bit of a critique of the New Zealand mental health system in Wound.
And music as well.
The film also has another local actor, Campbell Cooley.
Oh, yes.
Who plays Master John. We've got a whole kind of BDSM scene type scenario as one of the strands of Wound.
And
I got to discover all that world when I was basically in Australia promoting my first feature, Angel Mine, and I met the notorious Madam Lash. And from there, she whipped me into the dungeon, and the rest is history.
That's a true story.
That's a true story.
That's of course one of the areas that some family groups have been unhappy about with this film being screened. What do you say to people who say that that there is some disturbing stuff in this film and it shouldn't be seen by the public?
Well, I disagree, because I think censorship has its place, but I don't think in this case the film is that dark and violent that people can't see it. I think it's all stuff that's going on in New Zealand. And there is no prurient sex in this film. It's the prurient sex is a manifestation of the bipolar condition, that's for sure. I've done a deep psychological look at a woman breaking down because of things that have happened to her inside the family in her earlier life. I'm also looking at the whole fact that up until 20, 30 years ago, a woman having a child outside of marriage was one of the major taboos in this country, and women were sent away. One of the story strands in Wound is the fact that the leading lady had given away a child at birth when she was 14 years old, which is the Polanski story, if you like. And the ramifications of that daughter coming back in her late teenage years and confronting that mother.
Well, it certainly does seem like a story that is worth telling and is worth being seen on the big screen. And people can have the opportunity to see it at the New Zealand International Film Festival. When's the first screening?
The first screening is tonight, 8:45, Sky City. And I must say that it's probably going to be the only projected screening of the film in Auckland ever, because the distribution exhibition world of cinema at the moment is a very, very tight, closed shop. And I don't imagine that this little film will be getting a regular cinematic release downtown.
Well, if people want to find out more about it and also other screenings as well, nzff.co.nz. Thanks very much, David Blyth.
And yes, thank you. And